himself as well, ending the investigation.
Disturbing last seen footage of murder victims.
Of June 2nd, 2007, 18-year-old Kelsey Smith went shopping alone. She had just graduated from high school 9 days earlier and wanted to buy a 6-month anniversary present for her boyfriend, John. However, what was meant to be a quick, uneventful shopping trip instead turned into a tragedy. Though nothing seemed out of place at first. Kelsey left her home in Overland Park, Kansas at around 6:30 p.m. and reached the Target near Oak Park
Bro, it's
Mall
so
without
sad,
any
bro, because I've
trouble
heard
about
so
30
many
minutes
stories of people, like, dying, like, only a couple days after their graduation, like, a couple days before their graduation, bro. That happened to one girl, like, at my old high school I used to go to before I graduated. It happened a year before I graduated. Sad story, bro.
Later, she even called her mother shortly after arriving at the store to ask where she could find gift boxes. Unfortunately, this was the last conversation anyone ever had with her. Her family grew concerned when more than an hour passed and she still hadn't returned home. There was no message from her about some unexpected delay, and her phone was going straight to voicemail.
Hi guys, it's Kelsey. Obviously, I can't come to the phone right now. Leave me a message. Bye.
Kelsey was the kind of person who would call her parents even if she was just a few minutes late, so for her to disappear like this was highly unusual. Around the same time, John also showed up at Kelsey's house to pick her up for their date. Unfortunately, he didn't know anything about her whereabouts either. Fearing the worst, her family filed a missing person report. Meanwhile, her sister and John started looking for her around town, desperately hoping that she was just stranded somewhere due to something minor like car trouble. And while they finally found a lead, it raised more questions than it answered. They were searching the area surrounding the Target when they spotted her car parked outside the Macy's on the opposite side of the Oak Park Mall about half a mile from her last known location. This was already strange enough on its own. However, the most concerning part was the condition they found it in. It was fully unlocked, and the only thing missing from it besides Kelsey herself was her phone. All of her belongings, including her purse and the gift she bought for John hours earlier, were still in the car, which begged the question, what could have possibly caused her to abandon her car in this state? Fortunately, Macy's had a CCTV camera pointed at the parking lot, allowing investigators to acquire the footage and analyze it for potential clues. However, nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to uncover. CCTV footage showed the car pull into the lot at 9:17 p.m., over 2 hours after Kelsey was last heard from. However, instead of Kelsey, an unknown man wearing a white t-shirt got out of the driver's side
weirdo,
and
bro!
fled the scene. Unfortunately, the footage was too blurry to see any identifying features besides his clothes. What investigators didn't know at the time was the color of his shirt would prove crucial in this investigation. But for now, the focus was on finding Kelsey before it was too late.
Bro, people that do this shit to innocent-ass people like this, bro, that are literally just minding their own business, bro, y'all need to fucking rot in prison and rot for the rest of your lives, bro, because there's something seriously wrong with people like this, bro. Like, how could you just see a person shopping in the store and just decide to be like, yep, I'm just gonna go and kill them? Like, what the hell is your problem, bro?
Their investigation was to analyze the last known footage of Kelsey shopping at the Target. Unfortunately, this footage didn't show anything unusual, at least at first glance. Target's surveillance system had captured her entire shopping trip. Everything from entering the building, to calling her mother, buying the gift, and then leaving in her car. However, while doing a frame-by-frame analysis, one of the detectives noticed a tiny anomaly near the end of the footage. As she was about to get in her car, the camera captured what looked like a man in a white t-shirt running toward her at the last second.
Bro, you're fucking
There was a
weird,
strong
bro.
chance that this was the same man who would later abandon her car in the Macy's parking lot.
Dude, this
hours
dude,
later.
bro, think about it, bro. This dude was probably saw her in the store, started following her around and stuff. And he probably did some weird ass shit to her too, bro. Oh,
With this
my
newfound
God,
knowledge,
bro.
investigators watched the footage again, and
There
this
he goes
time they
right there,
noticed
yo.
something even more horrific. As Kelsey was browsing
what did I
through the
say?
store,
I called-
a man in a white t-shirt could be seen stalking her.
I
through
called
every
it, bro.
aisle. He kept
What
following
is this
her
dude's
until she was about
problem,
to pay
bro?
for her items, and then rushed out of the store before her, likely so he could ambush her as she was getting in her car. Fortunately, the entrance camera managed to capture the only somewhat usable image of his face, allowing investigators to set up a tip line for anyone who knew him. Another camera also captured the make and model of his truck when he arrived at the store minutes earlier. This narrowed down the search considerably. All they needed now was information on who this man was. And after sifting through hundreds of false reports, investigators finally received a tip from someone claiming to be his neighbor. They recognized his face and truck on TV and immediately called the police. Not long after, officers arrested 26-year-old
Oh,
Edwin Hall at his
weirdo,
home.
bro.
He was
You weird ass. All right, bro. Yeah, nah, this dude gotta stay locked up forever, bro. Dead ass, bro. What is your problem, bro? This dude just got in his truck and just decided to follow around an innocent person and decided to just kill her, bro, and probably did some other stuff to her, bro. Nah, you need to be locked up forever, bro. Genuinely, bro. And you, bro, why does your face look like a damn square, bro? Oh my.
getting ready to leave the state for a supposed vacation with his wife and kids.
You have a wife and kids and you're doing this, bro? No. Bro, there's no way, bro. You had a whole life going for
Officers
you,
were able to
bro.
reach him before he fled. Though, to their surprise, Edwin confessed to being at the location without any pushback, and even confirmed that he was the one in the CCTV footage. But he also denied having anything to do with Kelsey. Luckily, his lie did not last long.
You were following her
Investigators had
around the
actually
entire
found a
time. What
single
you mean
unknown
you had
fingerprint
nothing
on the
to go
seatbelt
with
latch
it,
of
to do with
Kelsey's
it?
car when searching through it earlier. However, it didn't match any print they had on record. But with Edwin's arrest, they were able to take his fingerprints, which turned out to be a perfect match for the one found in Kelsey's car. The same day, police also found Kelsey's remains near a lake in Missouri, about 20 miles from the target. None
Rest
of
in
which would have been
peace, bro.
possible
Rest
if
in
Kelsey's
peace.
last shopping trip hadn't been captured by Target's surveillance system. Edwin was charged with the kidnapping and murder of Kelsey Smith and stood trial in July 2008. He pled guilty to all charges to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to
Sick-ass
life in
nigga.
prison without the possibility of parole.
Genuinely.
On the night of Valentine's Day 2017, a home security camera installed outside the house of 35-year-old Ellie Tran showed her returning home from work and pulling into the driveway, unaware that a dangerous stalker was hiding just outside the camera's view, waiting for the right opportunity to attack.
Bro,
As soon
what
as she
is
got
wrong
out of
with
the
people,
car,
bro?
the
People
stalker
genuinely don't have lives, bro. Like you're just do something with your life, bro. It's 8 o'clock at night, bro, and you're just hiding in someone's bushes waiting to ambush them, bro. Go home. Do something with your life, bro. Go get a pet, bro. Get a hobby. Hit the gym. Do something, bro. You
lunged at her from behind the bushes and tackled her to the
Fucking
ground.
weirdo,
before running
bro.
away on foot just seconds later. And while Ellie looked mostly unharmed at first, the attacker had actually injected her with a cyanide-filled syringe while she was on the ground, which, for those who don't know, is one of the deadliest poisons on Earth. What made this situation even worse was the fact that this wasn't a crazed stalker or a random serial killer. Instead, this was 30-year-old Joseph Merlino III, Ellie's ex-boyfriend, and someone she had a 2-year-old daughter with. The two got into a relationship sometime.
God, bro, these fucking people in these fucking relationships, bro. God, bro, why can't dudes and other people like that, bro, just fucking take a breakup and just deal with it, bro? It's okay. There's other people out there, but you had a daughter with her. You could have just, bro, you could have easily just took it like a normal person would, and then just like not stuck by her. Like if they didn't want to be together, they don't gotta be together. But like stood by her side, raised your kid, and then moved on with your life. Got a new woman, bro. You don't have to. What is killing him gonna do, bro?
In late 2013, and things started off quite well. However, Joseph started becoming aggressive when Ellie became pregnant and invited her parents to live with her. You see, Ellie had actually immigrated to the US from Vietnam before meeting Joseph. She wanted to build a stable life in the US with Joseph and their child, but she also wanted her parents to be a part of this new life. So, in 2014, she flew her parents to the US and gave them a place at her and Joseph's home. This became a major point of contention between the couple, with Joseph becoming more and more aggressive with each passing day. Things escalated to the point of physical violence by mid-2016.
Bro, what's the point of getting into a relationship if you're just gonna be abusive and shit, bro? Like, I don't get why it's so hard for certain people to just, like, be normal people, be a normal boyfriend, girlfriend in a relationship, bro. Why do you gotta abuse them? Why do you gotta talk down on them? Why do you gotta, like, neglect them and stuff like that, bro? Just be normal. You freaking weirdo, bro. I hope your ass gets life, bro. Now you just left your daughter with no dad and no mom. Well, like, you didn't deserve to be the dad, but like you just left your kid with no loving parent, bro. God, you're a fucking weirdo,
and get
bro.
a restraining order against him. She also kept full custody of their daughter. However, Ellie knew that Joseph wasn't going to leave her alone so easily. She lived in constant fear that he would one day show up and take their daughter from her, which was the only reason she installed security cameras both inside and outside her home. But even Ellie couldn't have predicted the lengths Joseph was willing to go for revenge. Immediately after the attack on February 14, Ellie tried to get
There's
inside
millions
and
and
call
millions of
911.
other women out
She
there.
didn't know
Like,
exactly what had happened, but she knew he had injected something into her leg. But she passed away before making that call. Luckily, her mother saw everything, including Joseph's face as he was running away. She called emergency services and Ellie was rushed to a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Cyanide prevents cells from using oxygen, which is needed to keep them alive. The cells can no longer produce energy, and vital organs like the heart and
bro,
brain
why is
start
poison and
failing
shit like this even a thing, bro? Like, what is like, what do you gain from like making and getting cyanide, bro? Like, what is poison in these chemicals and shit like this used for, bro? Let me know. Like, that might be a dumbass question, but like, genuinely, what is that stuff used for? And how does this dude even get it,
internal
bro?
suffocation, even if the person is breathing. By the time Ellie reached the hospital, she had already suffered severe brain damage. She was pronounced brain dead shortly afterward, forcing her parents to make the painful decision of cutting off her life support. The home security footage, alongside the statement from Ellie's mother, allowed investigators to zero in on Joseph and arrest him just 3 days later on February 17. They also searched his home and found several other dangerous items like guns and materials for making explosives. However, despite the evidence, Joseph tried to claim that he was in a different city on the night of the murder, and that
You
the
know
person in
the
the home
fuck you
security
weren't,
footage was
bro. There
someone-
is video evidence of you, bro. There is evidence. Your mom saw you. Nobody else would even do this to her, bro. You were you're the only psycho stalker ex-boyfriend that was abusive in the relationship, bro.
However, the prosecution didn't believe any of it. Phone records proved that his statement about being in a different city was a complete lie. More importantly, prosecutors were able to prove that the murder was fully premeditated. Forensic analysis of his internet traffic revealed that leading up to the crime, he had searched terms like, how many milligrams of cyanide will kill you? What if cyanide gets in the bloodstream? And what if cyanide gets injected? Investigators were also able to track down the people he purchased cyanide and the syringe from on marketplaces like eBay and Etsy. However, the most damning evidence proving his sinister motives came from an incident that happened back in December 2016. According to Ellie's mother, Ellie was coming home from work one day when suddenly a man approached her and threw an unknown chemical on her. Thankfully, the chemical only burned her hair and caused minor burns on her scalp, allowing her to recover without any permanent injuries. Ellie later told her mother that she believed the attacker was Joseph. This showed that Joseph was coming up with ways of harming Ellie even before the lethal attack.
Sick ass,
Joseph,
bro.
however, stayed adamant that he was innocent, and even went
Now,
on a hunger strike.
now
for
he's
a few
trying to
months
play
before
all.
his
Now he's
trial.
trying to play all sick
Prosecutors
and
believe he did this to lose a lot of
defective
weight
and
and
shit,
look
bro.
significantly
No,
different from how he looked in the security camera footage, possibly hoping to trick the jury into handing out an innocent verdict. Unfortunately for him, this plan failed as well. He stood trial in December 2018 and was sentenced to life in prison.
good, bro. You need to rot in that shit, bro. You need to put your ass in
On the
solitary
12th of May
confinement.
2022, a government inspector was doing a land survey in the wooded area surrounding the National Guard Armory in Wadesboro, North Carolina. But partway through the survey, the inspector discovered the last thing he was expecting behind the armory, a complete human skeleton. The only other items nearby were a black top and a pair of women's leggings, indicating that this skeleton likely belonged to a woman. Further inspection of the remains also confirmed that she had likely passed away somewhere between 9 months and a year ago. Now, this was a major discovery, especially because it happened in a not-so-secluded area near a government building and a high school. There was also a strong chance that this person either got lost in the woods or was placed there by someone trying to hide their crime. Either way, it would have been best to make the finding public and enlist the public's help in identifying the person. But for unknown reasons, the Wadesboro Police Department did not report it publicly. It wasn't until January 2024 that this case received its first major update. Someone from the Wadesboro area came forward with disturbing images their trail camera had captured back on August 21, 2021, close to the armory. They showed a woman, possibly in her mid to late 30s, walking alone in the forest very early in the morning. She was barefoot and was struggling to walk while using a stick for support. Her leggings and support stick were also wet up to her knees, suggesting she might have walked through the creek just south of the trail cam. More importantly, she was wearing the same top and leggings the surveyor would find alongside the skeletal remains about 9 months later. However, while the trail cam footage gave a face to the remains, investigators were still no closer to identifying her. She didn't match any missing person reports in the area, leaving investigators with no clear leads to follow. With no other option, authorities uploaded the trail cam images alongside any information they had on the National Missing Persons database, which turned out to be the correct move. Not long after the case gained traction online, the woman was identified as Amber Ray Johnston, who was 36 years old when she went missing back in August 2021. This trail cam footage was the last time she was seen alive. Her mother recognized her after coming across the images online. A DNA test in March 2025 also confirmed that the skeletal remains belonged to her daughter, Amber. The only question that remained now was what happened to Amber? How did she end up in Wadesboro, North Carolina, over 2,200 miles from her home in Bullhead City, Arizona? Unfortunately, the answer to this question would turn out to be far more complex than the investigators might have expected. Amber's story began in Bullhead City, Arizona, where she was in an emotionally and physically abusive relationship with her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jared
God, here
Ward.
we go
Both
again,
Jared and
bro.
Amber also had a
These
severe-
weird-ass dudes, bro. Do something else with your fucking life, bro. I swear on dude, bro. God, bro. Instead of being psychotic and weird, bro, what is it? I don't get why it's so hard for people to just be normal, bro.
substance
Like, it
abuse
is
problem,
not hard
which
to
only made their
not be
relationship
abusive and
worse.
shit,
They
bro.
eventually
It's
broke
not
up in
hard
the
to
summer
not
of
be a
2021, and Jared went back to his
psychopath.
hometown in South Carolina. During this time, authorities had their first strange encounter with Amber. On the 8th of August, at around 8 a.m., she apparently went swimming with someone she had just met. He stayed behind on the water's edge while Amber dove in, leaving her ID and clothes behind in his care. He went back to get a life jacket for himself, but when he returned, Amber was nowhere to be seen. Assuming that she might have drowned, he contacted the police, who began a search and rescue mission immediately. However, just hours into the search, police received a call from Amber's landlady stating that she returned home safe. Then, in mid-August, she got on a Greyhound bus and started traveling east. It's unclear if she was going back to her mother's place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or if she was planning on visiting Jared in South Carolina. However, she didn't reach either of these destinations. Witnesses saw her purchasing a bus ticket in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on August 17, 2021. And that was the last time Amber was ever seen alive. The last ping from her phone came from Charlotte on August 19, 2021. 3 days after that, she was captured by the trail camera in Wadesboro, over 90 miles from Winston-Salem, before disappearing completely until her remains were discovered 9 months later. However, how she reached Wadesboro or why she went there in the first place remains a mystery to this day. The most puzzling part of her case is that authorities still haven't considered any foul play in her disappearance and death, even though there are countless signs strongly pointing towards that possibility. The biggest of which are her SNAP food stamps and credit card, both of which were used by other people, including Jared, after her supposed death. She had actually told her mother about Jared stealing her credit card to purchase drugs in the past. So, him somehow getting a hold of it and using it for
Drug
online
addict,
purchases
bro.
after her death should have made him the number one
Bro, if
suspect.
you're doing anything-
Unfortunately, Jared passed away himself from an overdose in 2022,
Not surprising.
leaving
Bro,
investigators
if
with
you're
no
doing
lead to
any
follow.
types of drugs that over like weed and alcohol, bro, get your life together, bro. You shouldn't be doing fucking meth, crack, and stuff like that, bro. If you're doing all that stuff, bro, get help, bro. Dead ass, bro. Weed is alright, but like if you're doing
The
anything
second
above
strange
that, bro,
sign
don't be
is a
doing that
travel
shit.
video that was posted to her Facebook account on August 18, showing the bus traveling through Birmingham, Alabama, even though phone records showed that she was in Charlotte, North Carolina the next day. It's possible someone else posted this older travel video on her account to throw off anyone looking for her, but there's no way for us to confirm or deny that theory. It also makes little to no sense for Amber to get lost and lose her life in a patch of woods that's surrounded by a government building, a high school, a hospital, and several restaurants and convenience stores, all within walking distance. Lastly, her lack of proper clothing and use of a walking stick in the trail cam footage also points to something far more sinister than her just getting lost in the woods. Unfortunately, with the primary suspect now passed away himself, the truth of what happened to Amber in August 2021 will likely never come out. On the morning of January 25, 2019, Elizabeth Barraza, known to her friends as just Liz, woke up early to set up a garage sale outside her suburban home in Tomball, Texas. She lived there with her husband Sergio, and the two had been happily married for nearly 5 years. Their 5th anniversary was also just a few days away, and they had planned to spend the occasion visiting Universal and Disney parks in Florida. They were both massive fans of franchises like Harry Potter and Star Wars, so this was the perfect plan for their special day. Tragically, Liz never lived to see this day she had been looking forward
Bro.
to. As she was setting up the garage sale, security cameras from around the neighborhood captured a black truck driving in and parking a few lots down from Liz's house. The driver of this truck then got out, approached Liz in her driveway, and started talking to her about something at around 6:58 a.m. Her doorbell camera recorded her saying good morning to this person in a way that made it seem like she didn't know who they were. But then, just a few seconds later, unprompted, the person took out a firearm and opened fire, shooting Liz 4 different times before running back to their truck and
What
driving
is your
away.
problem?
3 different neighbors called 911 seconds after hearing the gunshots.
Bro, you just go
First
pull up at
responders arrived
7
just
in
a
the
few minutes
morning,
later
shoot
and rushed
someone and
Liz to a
run away
nearby
for no
hospital.
reason, bro?
Unfortunately, the damage
She
was
looks
too
like, bro,
severe,
she looks like a
resulting in her
nice,
passing
sweet
away
person
shortly after
too, bro.
arriving. The video
what are we
footage captured the
doing?
whole incident, but it wasn't clear enough to pick up any identifying features. However, as the investigation went on, the biggest issue that confused the authorities was the complete lack of a logical motive. First of all, this wasn't a robbery or something along those lines.
She just ran up there
The
and
killer
shot her
didn't
and
take
left.
anything and just ran off after committing the crime. More importantly, the way they made sure to shoot her one more time after she had already fallen to the ground made it seem like this was a deliberate hit, almost as if someone had sent a hitman after her.
The
However,
boyfriend, the
investigators
husband?
couldn't find any reason why someone would do that. Everyone who knew Liz described her as the brightest person they knew. She wanted nothing more than to see others happy
Bro,
and
she
even spend her
literally
free
looks like the
time
nicest
cosplaying
lady
as a
of all
stormtrooper
time,
and
bro.
visiting
What are we
children's
doing?
hospitals to cheer them up. Security footage from around the neighborhood also showed the killer
Bro, it's
driving
always the
around her
good
home
people
and
like
staying in
this
nearby
that just
parking lots
get the
hours
worst,
before
bro,
the crime.
for
The
no
timing of the
reason.
crime was also quite suspicious. It happened just 4 minutes after Sergio had left for work. Whoever the killer was, they knew the couple's schedules. Liz had also not told anyone about the garage sale beforehand, so there was no way for some random person to know that she would be alone outside at that time. This precise timing pretty much
Nah,
ruled
bro,
out the
had to-
possibility of a serial killer taking advantage
it
of the
had to have been the
opportunity,
husband
bringing
sending a
authorities
hitman,
back
bro.
to square one. The only possible lead they had was her husband, Sergio, and for a good reason. Spouses are often involved in these types of murders, especially when infidelity is involved. Putting Sergio as the mastermind could also explain how the killer knew about the garage sale and the exact time Sergio would leave for work. However, after thorough investigation, the police found no evidence of Sergio's involvement. Their marriage was simply too perfect and problem-free for him to have any reason to take
But
her
yeah,
life,
I don't know
leaving
why I
the
did, but he looks
mystery
like a
of
nice guy,
Elizabeth
too.
Barraza's death completely unsolved to this day. February 2021 started off as a particularly cold month for the residents of the small town of Plains Township, Pennsylvania. A blizzard the night before had deposited over 30 inches of snow across the region, forcing most of its residents to shovel snow from their driveways if they wanted to get their cars out. However, for a local couple, 50-year-old James Goy and 48-year-old Lisa Goy, this simple activity proved lethal when they got into an argument with their neighbor across the street named Jeffrey Spade.
Here we
The
go,
fight had started
bro.
with Jeffrey accusing the couple of dumping snow too close to his house. A home security camera outside
Grown ass
James'
fucking man, bro. Getting pissed off and yelling at people just for accidentally shoveling snow up close to your door, bro. What is your problem, bro? You can't.
Lisa's home captured the argument as it escalated, with both groups hurling increasingly demeaning insults and curses at each other. In the heat of the moment, Jeffrey threatened the couple's lives before returning to his home. Normally, this would have been where the argument ended. However, Jeffrey had something much more drastic in mind. Seconds later, he came back with a firearm and opened fire, hitting the couple
Grown
multiple
ass
times.
man,
He
bro.
kept
What is your
shooting until he ran out
issue,
of ammunition.
bro? This dude's a grown 50-something-year-old man and can't take an argument, bro. It is not that deep, bro. Like if someone came up to me and I was shoveling snow in my door and I accidentally shoved it into theirs and we started arguing, bro. I'm just gonna be like, hey, my fault, bro. I'm just gonna try to de-escalate the situation because me as a person, bro, I'm not that type of person that likes, arguments, conflict, and shit like that. No, bro, I don't like any of that shit, bro. I would de-escalate the situation and just move on my day, bro. Like, and then there's no point in bro. Just go on with your day, bro. Like, there's no point in getting a gun and shooting somebody over snow and argument, bro. Like, what is the big deal, bro? Yeah. Some people out there just genuinely have like the weakest, what's it called? Like the weakest like tempers or whatever, bro. They just can't take anything, bro. They're just sensitive as hell. Like the second you say one bad thing to them, it's alright. I gotta end your life now. But like, no, bro. What is your problem, bro? You could have easily just. Y'all could have easily just argued. Y'all could have went inside, cooled off for 20 minutes, and then came back outside, and then kept shoveling your snow and going with your day, bro. Like.
But after seeing that both James and Lisa were still alive, he went back inside and returned with a different firearm and took their lives at point-blank range. By the time
Fucking
first responders
weirdo.
arrived to the scene, both Lisa and James had already passed away. But that wasn't all. Police entered Jeffrey's home to arrest him for his crime. However, Jeffrey, understanding the drastic, irreversible decision he had just made, likely didn't want to spend the rest of his life behind bars. So, after ending James and Lisa, he ended everything for himself as well, ending the investigation
your entire life. You ruined someone else's life. You ruined everything about with you and your family and their family over some damn snow. And then you were too much of a bitch to handle the cops, so you just killed yourself in the But there was genuinely no point in any of that shit, yo. Genuinely nothing. You oh my god, bro. There was nothing to...
Before it even began. On the morning of February 12, 1993, Denise Bolger was visiting the New Strand Shopping Centre in Bootle, England with her 2-year-old son, James. At one point during shopping, she let go of James's hand for a split second to pay, but when she looked back, James had vanished without making a sound. In a panic, she immediately began looking for him, hoping that he was just wandering around the shopping center. However, James was nowhere to be found. She also called the police, who arrived within minutes and started searching for James in the streets surrounding the area. Over the next 2 days, more than 100 officers searched the streets of Bootle while helicopter teams searched across the canal. Unfortunately, despite their combined efforts, they didn't find a single clue that could lead them to James. However, what looked like a simple missing child case at first would turn out to be one of the most disturbing crimes of the 20th century. The truth came out on February 14th when a group of young boys discovered James's remains on a railway track 2.5 miles from the shopping center. His body had been sliced in half by a passing train. That was only the tip of the iceberg. A later autopsy report revealed that James had a total of 42 injuries across his body, including 10 skull fractures and much more. While the graphic details of James's state are too gruesome for YouTube, they can only be described as an act of pure, inhuman cruelty. Someone had spent a long time inflicting pain on the poor boy before he inevitably passed away from the injuries. However, the most shocking revelation of the case was yet to come. With the discovery of James's remains, the focus then shifted to uncovering and catching the person.
All these fucking criminals, bro, they deadass have nothing. Like, there's no reason to do any of this stuff. Like, there's no reason to kill anybody to begin with. But, like, bro, with this stuff, bro, there's genuinely no reasoning for it.
Or persons responsible. Fortunately, the shopping center had CCTV cameras around the facility. And after scouring through the footage, investigators finally found their first solid lead. One of the cameras had captured the culprit taking James out of the shopping center, but it wasn't an adult as most would have suspected. Instead, James was seen being led away by 2 strikingly young boys.
I think I heard about this
story.
story.
Other cameras showed the 2 boys just hanging around the shopping center and shoplifting things like candy, toys, and paint. Then, at 3:42 p.m., they guided James away from his mother and took him outside. But there was no way for the investigators to identify the 2 boys on their own, so they released some of the enhanced footage on TV, resulting in a woman recognizing them and calling the station. On February 18, 6 days after James's murder, police arrested 10-year-old John Venables and Robert Thompson from their homes. What followed was an extensive 20-hour-long interrogation where the 2 initially tried to deny everything, but after some pressure, John buckled and confessed, stating, "I killed James, I did it. We did it. Will you tell his mom I'm sorry?"
Hey, bro, they found us, yo. Yo, they got us. Talking about some weed. Who the fuck is weed? Nah. Oh, hell nah, bro. I would've...
38 witnesses who saw James with John and Robert that evening to get a full picture of what happened. John and Robert skipped school on February 12th and went to the shopping center with the express purpose of abducting a child. As one of them later confessed, they were planning to take James near a busy road and push him into oncoming traffic.
What is your guys' issue?
From his and going out, their plan took a turn for the worst. They took him to the railway track instead. Once alone, they forced James to endure the unimaginable until he finally passed away.
What is your guys'
They dragged his remains onto the train tracks to make his death look like an accident before going back home. Because they demonstrated a clear understanding of the wrongness of their crimes, John and Robert faced a full adult trial in November 1993. And the evidence against them was overwhelming. Investigators found drops of James's blood on their clothes, imprints of their shoes on his body,
Bro, give them
and
life.
much,
I don't give a damn that they were 10 years
no
old.
doubt
Give them
about their
life.
guilt. They were found guilty and became the youngest convicted murderers of the 20th
Give them
century.
life.
Though, despite their adult trial, their sentence was still in line with their age. They were sentenced to indefinite detention with a minimum of 8 years behind bars. After 8 years, in 2001, John Venables was released.
Bro, nah, hell no. But they should have gotten 8 years until they turned 18. They should have been in that detention until they turned 18. And then after they turned 18, put them asses in actual prison for the rest of their lives, bro. Because that's some bullshit. You're telling me you only get 8 years for abducting and then assaulting a little boy and then putting him on a train tracks to get sliced in half? Nah, bro. 8 years?
with a new identity to protect him from public retribution.
Protect them?
But
Fuck
he's been
them, bro.
repeatedly recalled
Fuck that protection shit. Hell no, they don't deserve to be protected for shit. They deserve to be let them, bro. The world deserves to like know who they are, bro. Fuck that protection shit, bro. Hell
for
no.
breaching his parole conditions and was found to still pose a danger to children.
Good.
Robert Thompson remains free on license and has not been known to reoffend since his initial release.
That was a sad ass video, bro. Dead ass, bro. If you're a weirdo out there, bro, don't be a weirdo and don't do any of this weird shit in this video, bro. Dead ass, cause like it'll come back to get you, bro. Trust. Like you're not getting away with shit. Like Flight be saying, bro. Flight the GOAT, by the way. But y'all not getting away with shit anymore, bro. Like if you don't be doing any weirdo shit out there, bro. Just live life and be a normal dude, bro. It's really not that hard to be a normal person. But make sure y'all check out Chillin' Scares. You know, that was a good vid. Check me out YouTube, TikTok, all that other stuff. Other than that, make sure y'all remember hard work pays off, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.